What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Trench Grenade channel, formerly known as the Trench Bandit channel. I'm LARPing. Hopefully you guys saw the most recent video that Nighthawk put a lot of effort into editing on the When the LARP Goes Too Far Wild West video. So I'm still LARPing. So look, you can see my face. It's not to hide my identity, okay? But I'm just LARPing, having fun. But we're going to talk about a more serious discussion today, and that discussion is going to be post 2024 election, what to expect, what to get serious about, and some things that you need to start considering right now, okay? Nighthawk and I, we were grabbing our Chipotle after we were lifting, and we were kind of having this discussion about, like, okay, let's assume Kamala Harris wins. There's a lot of 50% of the country are not going to be happy. Many of those people already think that the previous election was stolen, right? So let's just assume she wins. So 50% of the people in this nation are very, very unhappy, whether it be because of, gun rights, even though I got my FUD blaster here, right? Whether it be for gun rights, whether it be for whatever, abortion issues, border crisis issues, you name it, right? So 50% of the people. If Trump wins, 50% of the people are going to be rioting in the streets again, crying in the streets like last time Trump won, except this time tensions are heightened to such an extent that I feel like it needs to be addressed, and we should talk about the elephant in the room on the channel here, okay? So that's what we're going to do here today. If you want to support the channel, I'll leave a link down below for Patreon. The Patreon goes in, the fund, the $5 a month, goes into filming and editing time, okay? For both Nighthawk and I, as well as just production, okay? Driving to and from the range, most of the time it has an ammunition cost. So thank you to the Patreon members. If you want to support further, follow on Instagram in case this channel gets deleted or zucked, as the kids say. And if you want to support further, I'll leave a link for Mystery Ranch so you can buy yourself a really good bag. Yes, they're a little bit expensive, but dude, I've had two of them that I bought several years ago with my own hard-earned money, and I use them literally daily. One's green for work, and one's blue for everyday carry, or walking around and stuff, carrying my CMMG Banshee that's broke. So, yeah, they're awesome bags. Okay, let's talk about it. So, we know that here in 30 days or less, at the time of filming this video, whenever the results are read, 50% of the country is going to be very, very unhappy. We also know that there's already been one natural disaster at the time of filming this video. And here in a couple days, there's scheduled to be another hurricane hitting Florida. So what do we do with all this information? We already know inflation's high. We already know all the things we know about the world that we're living in now. We know that Ukraine is a serious problem. We're giving away billions of dollars to Ukraine. We have a homeless crisis in our own country. We have an inflation problem in our own country. We have people that are out of work, here in the United States. So that's a major problem. We have the port that shut down for a couple of days, causing massive supply chain issues here. So we have a lot of issues, right? So with all those pre-existing issues already in play, North Carolina, everything that happened there, hopefully those people are doing okay, the best they can. With all the things that we have going on right now, what can we do to prepare for the election? Well, step number one is obviously going to be your classes of supply in order. Get your classes of supply in order. What do I mean by classes of supply? Class 1 being water and food, okay? Making sure that's class 1 for a reason. Making sure you have enough food on hand that you don't have to use, your whatever gun to go out and hunt deer because your family is starving because supply chain issues get so bad, okay? That's going to be number one on your list. Making sure you have food and water ready, like a lot of it. I would say, I don't know, what do you think, Nighthawk? How many months of supply?
At least 3.
At least 3 months of supply. I mean, we have more now. I mean, thanks to a couple of you guys sent money in and donated when the last hurricane hit. Thank you. We stocked up with some rice and beans, literally rice and beans and water. But you're going to need at least 3 months. I mean, even if you have to be rationing food, which you will be, and eating, 1 or 2 cans of beans and some rice a day, and try to supplement with that with some sort of protein supplement, you're already going to be rationing in any sort of actual WROL or grid down scenario. So making sure you have class 1 is going to be huge, okay? Moving on. Let's move on to ammunition, okay? Now, you're not going to need as much ammunition as you might think. You're really only going to need, I'll just ballpark it, and I'm saying like need. You're really only going to need like 2,000 rifle rounds and 2,000 handgun rounds, or whatever you're choosing to use, like need. If you're using more than that, it's probably a serious issue. So start with that. Start with a couple thousand handgun, a couple thousand rifle rounds on standby, preferably loaded in magazines, like everything topped off in magazines first. Obviously, you're not going to have 2,000 rounds worth of magazines, but top off those 10 to 20 magazines that you do have, and make sure those magazines are ready and prepped in kit, right? Obviously, I'm wearing my LARP kit right now, just for the vibes, right? But it's because I just got done filming that other video. It's super fun to film. But make sure your actual go-to-war kit is set up properly with mags in it, medical, everything like that. Let's talk about medical, and then we're going to get into some of the less sexy stuff when it comes to preparedness. Medical. A lot of you guys are overlooking medical, and I see it in the comments all the time. Oh, a lot of your guys' thought process is in the same line with body armor, where you say, I'm not going to wear body armor because if I get shot, I'm dead anyway in a grid down scenario. And you say, well, I don't need medical because if I get shot, I'm probably going to die anyway. If I don't get to another higher echelon of care, then I'm just going to bleed out or whatever the case, right? I think that's really bad thinking. I mean, when it comes down to your overall, like, what is your life worth? And you're just going to discount yourself and say, well, I don't need a tourniquet or something basic like a chest seal or an MPA or literally the most basic stuff. That's shortchanging your own life. Okay, so that's kind of my thought process. Yeah, you might not have a role 1 or a role 2 where people can provide higher echelons of care and aid to you. Okay, I understand, but are you really going to shortchange your life not having 1 or 2 basic IFAKs and a boo-boo kit? I don't know how many times I have my IFAK on me at the range, and I'm like, hey, Nighthawk, do you have any ibuprofen? Do you have some tape from a basic boo-boo kit or like basic stuff, right? So having a basic, not only a trauma kit, but a basic boo-boo kit on hand prior to this election going down is going to be huge, okay? Basic medication, obviously, if you're prescribed medication, like insulin's a major issue. So if you're diabetic, you might want to stock up on some serious like backlog of supplies, and you might want to have a generator if that's the case, because you're not going to be able to keep that stuff cool and under the conditions that it needs to be, right? Okay, let's talk about power. A lot of you guys have seen it, and if you've gotten this far, like and comment helps more than you know, and post down below what your thoughts have been on the most recent natural disaster that happened in North Carolina, and if you had any wake-up moments from that. But let's talk about power and cell phones. First thing to go, your cell phone is going to be good for taking pictures. That's about it, right? And maybe using a calculator or the really bad flashlight that's on it. The second a natural disaster begins, a grid down scenario, let's say Trump wins tomorrow. You really think the left is just going to sit down? No, there's going to be mass rioting. People have already talked about civil war or a national divorce. Yes, the first thing that goes down is going to be the infrastructure. That's going to be any sort of supplies coming in or out of your area is going to get shut down, because the truckers and the first responders are not going to go to work if people are actively trying to kill them, right? So that's going to be a serious problem. So your phone and your power. Right now, I'm wearing all this LARP stuff in the comfort of my house because it's AC and it's nice and comfortable. The second the hurricane hit, everyone lost power. Why do you think everyone lost power? Because the system, the power grid, is very fragile. That has been proven time and time again. So if you can afford a generator, a good generator, that is a good short-term solution. Especially if you are older and you can't survive in 80, 90 degree weather or negative 20 or however cold it gets in your area with this upcoming winter. If you can't survive in those conditions, or you need to keep medication stable, etc., then yes, you need to invest in a generator. And now, unfortunately, you're going to see a price hike with everything going on with this hurricane. You're going to see a major price hike in generator costs and fuel costs for bulk fuel as well. And as we know, fuel only lasts, I believe, 6 months, right? So you have to filter out fuel. In the military, in the Army, we rotate out fuel. We will burn the fuel down to a quarter tank to put fresh fuel in if a vehicle has been sitting there for too long. So fuel maintenance and rotating is also going to be something that you need to consider. Yes, there are things that you can put in fuel, but that is just baseline. If you have pre-existing conditions and you are susceptible to dying if you don't have AC or heat, you need to get a generator now. Okay, and Nighthawk, feel free to jump in if you feel like I forget anything here. Okay, moving on to community. Every morning, Nighthawk and I like to walk the dogs and go through our community just to, see the norms, right? A couple of things on that. Our infrastructure, not even our infrastructure, our architecture, our buildings are made out of paper. So let's really digest that for a second. Let's say tomorrow the grid goes down because there's rioting. Maybe a foreign nation takes advantage of this election season and also tries something with, whether it be with Taiwan, Ukraine, or maybe they attack here domestically, whether that be through terrorism or homegrown terrorism, right? So the grid goes down. Well, our buildings are literally made, it's drywall, it's paper. And as you've seen with all these storms, a tree lands on your house, it goes right through the house. There you go. All your preps are ruined, someone in your family's hurt, or worse, right? So, infrastructure. If you're in this mentality of, oh, I'm not going to bug out, that's fine, but just realize, this stuff is paper, dude. Like a 9mm will go through an entire house. You guys really need to think about that. So when you're like, oh, I'm ready for the boogaloo, and I've got all my preparations ready and everything. Dude, all it takes is one stray round to go through your entire house and kill a member of your family or you, right? This infrastructure is made of paper. So it's just something to keep in mind. Whether you're going to bug in, bug out, whatever your fantasy is, that stuff is going to change on a whim, right? So you just need to understand the infrastructure, okay? All right, community. If you don't have a community, this election season could be very precarious. We've already seen Verizon and AT&T having major issues with communications, whether it be through nefarious acts of terrorism, whether it be through cyber attacks, etc. So just assume on November 6th, just assume that your phone is no longer working, period. Assume your phone is no longer working and there's power outages for whatever reason, right? Whether it be for whatever reason, right? Because we've seen it happen already. You need to have a community. You need to have a local community. You need to have other means of communication, whether that be a basic Baofeng, basic walkie-talkies, whatever, with your neighbors, and an emergency plan with spare batteries, okay? Having that, having that local community set up prior to a disaster is going to save you. Think about it like this. And the way I like to think about it like this. Think about you're in the Army, and in the Army you ask the Army, hey, can I go to X duty station? Normally they'll say yes. But let's say the Army says, hey, you're going to get stationed in Korea, and then you say, oh, hey, can I go to X? Can I go to Fort Bragg or Fort Liberty? They're going to say no. Why? Because you didn't already have that pre-existing relationship of the expectation, right? So your neighbors. Now let's turn that to your neighbors. You go over to your neighbor's house right now. You're like, hey, I just want to touch base. My name's Trench. If anything ever happens, I'm going to be on channel 3 on, this basic walkie-talkie. And if the power ever goes down or you ever need anything in an emergency, feel free to hit me up on this radio. I'll check it once every hour, period, right? Something really basic like that. You touch base with everybody in your community. Hey, my name's Trench. I'm going to be, in the event of emergency, I want to make sure we have a plan, or at least that we've met prior to the emergency. I want to give you more peace of mind, me more peace of mind, my family, we're looking for people to be in a community with. Now, pause. Be careful. Be careful. Don't overshare. Don't set yourself up for failure. But you do need to build a community now. So use your best judgment. Meet people. Don't meet people that are going to be baggage, but try to bring people into your life prior to this election season that can add value to your preparedness plan. Okay, last thing I'll talk about, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Zeroing your kit, or zeroing your weapons. Every gun, whatever your go-to rifle and go-to handgun, right? That Glock and that red dot, they need to be zeroed. Zero them. whatever. Zero them at 10 meters, zero them at 25 meters, doesn't matter. Make sure that gun is zeroed, fresh batteries. Fresh batteries in the light, fresh batteries in the optic. Your rifle. Make sure your rifle is lubricated and cleaned. Make sure it is in good functioning order. Make sure your optics are tight, Loctited on. Make sure your weapon mounted light is Loctited on, good to go. Fresh batteries. Make sure everything is zeroed, co-witnessed. If you are running backup iron sights, make sure they are actually lollipopped and zeroed to your gun. Make sure your ammunition is not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's actually, if it started its life as brass case, it needs to still look like brass, not oxidized and rusted, okay? If your ammunition started its life looking like nickel plated, it needs to still look like nickel. If your carry ammunition, no, it looks all messed up, and you need to get new stuff, okay? So make sure your ammunition itself is good and serviceable. This is just a 38 special as an example, but make sure you inspect your go-to-war ammunition to make sure that it is actually in good functioning order. After you do all that, make sure your kit is actually set up properly. You don't need excess. Maybe 3 magazines for rifle on your front, one on your front left, right, for your emergency mag, and one on your belt, and 2 pistol mags on your belt. Make sure it is streamlined and that you can move in it. Make sure your helmet is set up properly. Make sure your night vision, if you have it, have a fresh set of batteries. Make sure they're in a pouch that is padded. Basic things like this. Make sure your Mystery Ranch that you're going to buy with the link below is set up with 48 hours worth of Mountain House meals, MREs, a poncho, 3 water sources, etc. You need to have this stuff like set right now, okay? Everything needs to be communicated. Once you do all that stuff for yourself, go to your spouse's gear or your children's gear. Hey, in event of emergency, babe, I need you to grab this bag, this rifle. Leave everything else. Cool. Now they know. They grab that bag, that rifle. They follow you. Leave everything else. You don't think your girlfriend or wife is going to try to grab their favorite collection of The Office reruns or something on the way out the door? They are. They're going to try to grab all those shiny objects, especially if they're not inoculated for stress. So you need to communicate this early and often. Hey babe, no matter how bad things get, if I tell you the code word pineapple, hey, things are really bad. We got to get out of the house. We got to get out of town. Go grab your bag and let's go. And they come back with a suitcase. You got to have this stuff pre-planned. Hey, if things ever go bad, all you need to throw in this bag is 3 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, and a hat. Go, right? And maybe already have a couple pairs of socks and stuff like that in the bag. But these are things you need to think about now, not on election night. Hopefully everything goes smooth. Hopefully whoever wins, hopefully Trump, but hopefully whoever wins, and it's all peaceful, right? It's all cool. We can just, literally have a democracy, have the conversation, whatever we disagree about, find a middle ground, right? Because America has prevailed and will prevail through democracy. And I'm speaking to the left as well, right? Me being somebody that has obviously pro-Trump, however, I'm pro-America. Pro-America is what I think the message needs to be. Whoever wins, wins. As long as it is a fair election and things pan out the way that they should through republic, right? Because we're technically a republic, not a democracy. But as long as things pan out and everything is fair and ballots are counted fairly, okay, we don't have to like that person, but we should still, at the end of the day, support our brother and sister, because what we do not want to have happen is, if you saw the video on Fort Pulaski that we showed the other day, we do not want to have our brothers and sisters killing each other again, because that is the biggest defeat, and I don't think our country would survive another civil war. Now we're getting down a rabbit hole, but anytime a brother has to take up arms against his brother, that is a problem, okay? Last thing to leave you with. Let's say you have all your preparations in order. You have everything is perfect. You're like, Trench, I've done all the things. I've done all the checks. Maybe you're a single dude watching this. Hey, hopefully you've been in the gym and getting after it. Let's say you got everything ready. Well, the last thing you should do, some sort of entertainment, whether it be books. They're heavy. Okay, carrying books around is going to be heavy if you are having to bug out. But this is just a chessboard. You see it on my Instagram all the time. Nighthawk and I playing chess. Have a source of entertainment that is going to be good for you, okay? This is literally a cheapo magnetic chessboard. If you don't know how to play chess, go learn. But find your entertainment, because in the doomsday, in the zombie apocalypse, that is the left woke mob coming after you, right? You still need to have entertainment, okay? Guess what? You can still have good conversation, even though you're not able to go and burn thousands of rounds down on the flat range like you want to do, or a LARP in your cowboy LARP like I am today. You can still have a form of entertainment. All right, guys, I've talked a lot. I look forward to reading your comments below. This is a little bit of a heavy topic, but I just want to bring up some things, or wanted to bring up some things throughout this video that hopefully get the gears turning in your head. I know that a lot of people feel very helpless right now, whether it be through financial issues, whether it be through just civil discourse in the country, or just people you feeling like you're not heard, right? You feeling like the country is going in a direction you don't agree with. Well, I hope this video grounds you a little bit. I hope this video helps reassure you and wake you up. And at the end of the day, I would say, I don't really want to put a percentage on it, but I'll just say the vast majority of Americans in this country just want America to be powerful, to be the country that we want to be. And the way we do that is not through government overreach or power and all this. It doesn't really matter who's in the White House. What matters is we stay free. First Amendment, Second Amendment, everything after that we can figure out, right? But as long as we have the right to disagree peacefully and we have the right to defend ourselves and our family and our country, then I think everything else will pan out, right? We can figure everything else out. So just remember that going forward. All right, guys, I've talked a lot. Unfortunately, you guys haven't been able to sit here and talk at all. So I look forward to reading your comments down below. I want to know what things have woken you up through the recent tragedy that happened in North Carolina. I want to know what your best and worst case scenario of this upcoming election, what you foresee happening. Post that down below. And I want to know if you guys have actually built a community and if you're actually taking proactive steps in preparedness, or if you're just going to go lone wolf and probably die in the first 5 minutes by some dude with a Mosin Nagant with blue hair. All right, guys. This is going to be Trench Bandit, your average election, I don't even know, election wake-up call enjoyer that your mom said that we have at home, signing out. Cheers, partner.